Hi everyone, Diana Rankin here. Welcome to our Friday afternoons, or at least where I am, it's Friday afternoon. I know where many of you are, it's not. But here on our Friday afternoons, we answer questions. I use the wisdom of my spirit guide, Phillip, to answer your questions. And we ask that these questions be esoteric in nature, of interest to everyone. And sometimes those are personal questions, such as we have someone who, this is coming up in January, someone who asked about, can I have an altar in my bedroom? Uh, they had heard or read somewhere that that's not a good idea. So we'll look at that and see what Phillip has to say in January. And then we have some other really interesting questions. We have a really interesting question today as well. If you have personal questions about your life that would not pertain to the general population who watches this, I ask you to contact me for a private session. And you can find that information below. It's on my phone numbers on my website. You can just give me a call or email me, or you can put it in the comments below. And with your uh, personal questions, we'll be happy to set up a session for you. My website is just my name, www.diana.rankin.com. And again, that's below. For the questions for our Friday afternoon sessions together on here on the internet, just you can put the questions in the comments below. You can email me, anything that works for you. So we're going to look at our question today, which is, how is our reality created out of spirit, and how are atoms formed from spirit? Very interesting question. And I will tell you, I had the idea when I was writing out the answer to this that Philip tends to get rather involved and go in depth. And I had the very simple thought that everything is created eons and eons ago, the same way we create today. And Philip kind of confirmed that, but again, goes into much more depth. So I'm going to read that answer in a moment here. Want to also tell you, we will get a message from Philip, my spirit guide, by the way. I think you all know that. And from one of my books, The Master's Book of Answer. And we just open to any page, and each page is a different wisdom. So we'll get our soul message in a few moments here. But I want to read this answer first. It is the beginning of a new year. And so, Happy New Year. That takes place tonight. So, here we go. Here's our question: how is our reality created out of spirit? How are atoms formed from spirit? If we recall that everything is energy, the simple answer is simply that. Everything is energy. And then Philip, ha. Philip does have a sense of humor. So he says, if we recall that everything is energy, the simple answer is simply that. Everything is energy. And he thinks he's funny. Ha, he writes. Okay. Without getting into the technicality of the science, as we doubt many would understand the explanation, and your scientist Albert Einstein already gave that answer, let us offer an understanding of how creation takes place. To do so, there are a few thoughts we wish you to keep in mind. 3 thoughts specifically. 1, everything is energy. 2, your thoughts create. And 3, once something is created, it is created for eternity. I'm going to repeat that because I think that's really important. The 3 things he wants us to keep in mind: everything is energy, your thoughts create, and once something is created, it is created for eternity. Now, as we said, everything is energy, which was shown by your scientists. This also means that which you perceive as solid is actually multiple atoms buzzing about in close proximity, which causes a vibration that creates a solid appearance and feel. When the energy is less dense, the sense of solid disappears. I've experienced this multiple times, but the first time I experienced it, it was in a meditation. And the meditation that I was experiencing, I could see through the wall. I could walk through the wall. And what I noticed is whatever I thought was solid, there were these little dots of light, and they were moving quicker in the areas that I thought were solid. The areas I did not think were solid, these dots of light seemed to slow down and move in less density. And there's a little story behind how I had that experience. And I will take time to explain because it's kind of an interesting story. And hello, Judith. Happy New Year to you also. So good to see you. At the time, I lived in California and I was single. And I tried, back then, before the internet, we tried newspapers. We'd put an ad in the newspaper in a singles column. And through that, I met a fellow. We met at a restaurant, and we just started talking about meditation and spiritual development and that type of thing. And we decided, and I didn't invite people back to my house. That just wasn't something I did. I still wouldn't do that. But anyway, we decided that we were going to go back to my house, which was about a half hour from the restaurant where we met. I lived in Long Beach, and we met in a restaurant in Costa Mesa. He was actually lived up in the valley, and he had been in Santa Ana and was coming down through Costa Mesa to go back up to the valley for some reason. Anyway, we were, if you're familiar with California landscape, or familiar with the logistics of California, we were both going out of our way to meet. Okay, so we went back to my place, but while we're driving back, he's following me. And now this was a blonde guy. His name was Steve. And I kept looking back, and it was not quite dark yet, but it wasn't that easy to see into his car. You wouldn't have thought. But it was like there was this light in his car. It's like he had the dome light on in his car. But the man driving was dark and had a dark beard. And it was very clear that this was not the blonde man. And so I kept looking back, thinking, who's following me? Well, we got back to my house, and I was a little unnerved by all that, thinking, this is a dark-haired, bearded guy. But the man who stepped out of the car was the blonde Steve that I had met at the restaurant. So I looked at him and I said, who's the dark guy with the beard who you looked like in your car? And he started laughing, and he said, I've heard that before. And he said, who do you think it was? And I said, well, from pictures and paintings, it looked like Simon Peter. And he laughed again, and he said, I've heard that too. So this was the man I was going to sit across from and meditate. And I did. And I wasn't going to close my eyes at first. I was going to meditate with my eyes open and just watch him. And I did. And his eyes were closed. And he said to me, Diana, you're going to have a better meditation if you close your eyes. I did. I was young at the time, and, I felt safe suddenly. And so I closed my eyes, and that's when I saw these dots of light. Small dots, some are bigger than others, some seem to glow, but all these dots of light going all over the place. And later, I learned that I had seen probably the energy. That's what I was seeing. And I was seeing it manifesting. And yes, I did have to see myself get up and walk through the wall. So I saw myself as the energy, looking just like I looked, but not solid. And I walked through the wall just for the fun of it, because I'm a little bit of smart aleck that way. So anyway, that's my experience of what Phillip is talking about here. And I remind you that everything is energy. Your thoughts create. And 3, he wants us to remember, once something is created, it is created for eternity. So that which we perceive as solid really isn't. So Phillip goes on to say, let us now go back into the beginning of Earth's creation. Here is the mystery. As energy met energy and created thought form, Some might call this God, others call it science, while others just marvel at creation at all. What causes energy to meet energy to create a thought form? Ah, that is the mystery. Perhaps it was merely an accident of energies colliding. Perhaps no one knows. Perhaps there are those in higher realms who know. It is suffice to say, initial creation is beyond our ability to comprehend, so we can only make guesswork of it. We will say that even if we were to surmise that Earth is a thought form of other beings in another universe, the question would still remain as to where the creation of that universe began. This perhaps is why we are not to know. It is a question that does not allow the answer to be grasped. The finite mind cannot possibly understand the infinite. The closest one can come is during a deep meditative state of pure oneness. Now, all this said, we ask you to use your imagination to see Earth's creation. Imagine there is energy growing and radiating. As it does, it unites with other energy that is radiating. A bond is formed as the energy meets energy. There is a double bonding, then a triple bonding, and so forth. Within this bonding, a thought forms. As you know, there is nothing solid in thought form. But as the thought form becomes dense due to coming together with multiple thought forms, the makings of a single atom begins to take place. There are those who would tell you that all is an illusion, that nothing is real. In a sense, this is true, but way too simplified. It is also true that everything is real. Okay, although this sounds like a contradiction, it is not. Let us look deeper. In spirit world, where we create, it is merely a thought that we form and the creation appears. This is much more difficult to do in the third dimensional world. Now, before creation of Earth, thought forms created thought forms. Now, before the creation of Earth, thought forms created. So before our dimension, third dimension, existed, there was just thought, and thought created whatever it wanted to. Imagine if you are able, and we admit this is difficult for many, but if you are able being just energy. Imagine being just energy. This energy that you are plays with other energy, and together you create something. Let's say you had the thought of creating water or trees or a million other things. You draw pictures in your gameplay, which attracts energy that knows about other energy that has produced form. This is so different from what you do today. There are those who create homes from the thought form of a computer with a few materials and a human's thought. Ancient creation is no different. There was the thought to create solid, so there was the need to create atoms. Now, let us turn to the third idea we ask you to keep in mind. Once something is created in thought form, it remains for eternity. To this we add like attracts like, another concept your scientists have discovered. This means that every thought that ever was remains in the energy. As Earth and her inhabitants evolved, every thought throughout eternity is available to them. Although theoretically it is possible to tune into all thought, it is highly advisable you narrow and censor that which you wish to receive. To open the floodgate of all thought would be most dangerous to the human mind and cause severe mental disturbances and insanity from which one would not recover easily, if at all. So allow the simple confines of your mind to guide you. When contemplating eternity, do so with love in that inquiring mind, and allow that which you learn to guide your life today in a way that thought forms your creation today. Add to the joy of all life for all eternity. So what Phillip is saying here, to simplify it, is Everything is energy. Everything begins in thought and creates form out of thought. And once there is a thought, it's going to last forever, for all eternity. He's also saying we don't need to tune into all thought. We nearly need to tune in to those thoughts that will help us have more love in our life. And that creates a greater world for everyone. So, my friends. Hello, Joanne. So good to see you, and a happy new year to you. And hello, Vivian, and a happy new year to you. Well, my friends, it is. I did post a message in the comments. So if you wanted to get last week's soul message, go back and look at the comments for last week. So let's get our message, shall we? And as you know, we just flipped through here, and that didn't feel right. So I'm going to just kind of flip the pages for a minute here. And as we flip through, we stop at a particular page. I am hearing right, but I'm also getting left is quite important. So if you heard right, we're in sync. Our intuition's in sync with what the message is for everyone. If you heard left, that's a message just for you. So pay attention. Here we go. You know, what's really interesting is every day I sit down and I get a message from Phillip. And this is the message that I received to this morning from Phillip. So I find this interesting. When you are frantic in your search, it may be because you are afraid to find that which you seek. When you are frantic in your search, it may be because you are afraid to find that which you seek. And if you heard left, you have only this moment. Yesterday was, tomorrow is yet to be. Today is as you choose it to be. I'll read both of these again. If you heard right, when you are frantic in your search, it may be because you are afraid to find that which you seek. And if you heard left, you have only this moment. Yesterday was, tomorrow is yet to be. Today is as you choose it to be. I want to look at that message for all of us. When you are frantic in your search, it may be because you're afraid to find that which you seek. And I think that's whether it's a question such as, where do we come from? Or any of our questions, if we're really seeking too hard, as Phillip said, don't open up eternity with all thought, because we can't handle that in the human mind. But it also goes down to maybe looking for a piece of paper that has some information on it that you really don't want to find. So who knows? We have to ask ourselves, don't we? And he also reminds us that all we have is this moment right now. That's it. That's all we have. Yesterday was, tomorrow will be. Let's enjoy this moment. It is so good to see you, Judith, Joanne, Vivian, who were able to make it live. For those who were not able to make it live, I thank you for listening to this. I thank you so much for your thumbs up. That means a lot. And for your comments that you make below. And thank you for telling others about this channel. I'd love to grow it to many more subscribers this year. So welcome to the new year. Let's make it a good one. Thank you, my friends, for accepting the love that I send out to you, and thank you for the love that you send to me. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Judith, who's sending us love right now. Until we meet again. Thank you, my friends. I love you. I love you. I love you.